Welcome back to Inami, one of the top anime and manga channels on YouTube. Today I'm talking about the new Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 2. Boruto has introduced a new RASENGAN named Uzuhiko. I will explain why this could be a reference to mythology connecting Sasuke, Susanoo, and Amaterasu with Boruto's sword, which I believe is the original Kusanagi from the Otsutsuki clan, a sword that controls the wind, something I believe Boruto might have done in this new chapter, especially when looking at the effects surrounding his sword. This is literally how the Kusanagi sword is described in mythology. There's a lot to mention about this topic, so many references that prove this idea. Furthermore, I will explain why the 10-tailed monsters might be the reason for the Otsutsuki invasion, one of my main theories in Boruto. Boruto said that because Code modified them, which must refer to this teleportation ability, the world is heading towards something horrifying. If the 10-tailed monster is connected to the Otsutsuki planet and possibly created by the Otsutsukis using their own chakra, all the Otsutsukis could use Code's ability to directly appear on Earth. This connects my theory with recent revelations. Let's talk about it. The new Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 2 starts with a face-off between Code and Boruto. It's immediately noticeable that Boruto has changed a lot. He's definitely giving off a completely different post-timeskip vibe than we are used to seeing from Naruto. He seems much more mature than Naruto was. Essentially, he's a lot like Sasuke but more normal, so to speak. What's most notable about him at this moment is his behavior towards Sarada. Boruto is avoiding any contact with her, he's not talking to her, and he's not even making eye contact. I'm telling you, this man is driving her crazy. Essentially, it's possible that Boruto is simply protecting Sarada so as not to make her even more unpopular in the village than she already is, due to her openly supporting both Boruto and her father. By not making eye contact, focusing on Code, and not really talking to Sarada, it appears as if the raid on the village is initiated only by Boruto, with no tie to Sarada whatsoever. Boruto tells Code that if he withdraws all the 10-tailed, he will even be kind enough to spare his life. If he doesn't this time, he won't get away with just losing his left eye. With that said, my prediction that Boruto was the one who caused that scar is true. But I think this scar has more significance than what was presented in this chapter. Then we see that Sarada also notices how Boruto has changed. A lot of fighting follows, everyone has gotten much stronger, especially because they had a very good reason to become stronger. Then we see Kawaki getting beaten up a bit, not gonna lie, it's satisfying. He definitely deserves more than just having his face shoved into the ground, but that's what Boruto is there for. What's interesting is that the 10-tailed monster showed a Rinnegan, which only proves how easy it could be to receive a Rinnegan, especially if you're an Otsutsuki and capable of holding that power. Both Kawaki and Boruto could theoretically have it, and possibly even Code. Especially Sasuke should use the 10-tailed to obtain a new Rinnegan. What's even more interesting is that the 10-tailed monster can speak, a behavior we haven't observed in them before. We are aware that Hagoromo's tailed beasts have the ability to talk. They were given spiritual essence and personality through the creation of all things using yin and yang chakra, so it's quite surprising to hear a pure 10-tailed monster utter a word, especially when that word is Otsutsuki. Given that these beings typically don't speak, the fact that they say Otsutsuki is significant. It suggests a much deeper connection to the clan than merely two random beings being compatible. The reason the 10-tailed beast mentioned Otsutsuki is likely because of Kawaki. For some reason, the 10-tailed beast can recognize an Otsutsuki. We know that when 10-tailed beasts in their purest form, like the one Code divided, consume an Otsutsuki clan member, they become seeds for the god tree. They are then used by other Otsutsukis. One could argue that the 10-tailed beasts exist mainly for the Otsutsuki. This purpose is deeply rooted in their basic nature. It's the only thing they focus on, express, and interact with. The Otsutsuki are vital to the 10-tailed beast's existence, perhaps the most important aspect, and this shapes their behavior. Every creature has a fundamental purpose. Take bees for instance. Their main function is pollination, which is crucial for food production and the health of the ecosystem. Whether you believe in the universe, God, or another higher power, it's hard to think that bees evolved by mere coincidence and that Earth adapted to their evolution, not the other way around. It's more logical to believe that bees evolved this way because they are essential for Earth's survival. Similarly, it's unlikely that the 10-tailed beasts were created by chance for an alien race that might not even come from the same planet. Why think that the 10-tailed beasts are random cosmic entities that found their purpose in consuming Otsutsukis by coincidence? It doesn't make any sense. Given that both the Otsutsuki and the tailed beasts are from outer space and share evolutionary ties, it's evident they come from the same origin. Considering this, it's possible that the Otsutsukis themselves created these creatures using techniques similar to ninja and the creation of all things, but as shinjutsu. This connection binds all Otsutskis to all tailed beasts, which is why all Otsutskis can be sacrificed. Hagoromo's connection with all 9 beasts after after dividing the 10-tailed beast is a notable example. Similarly, Naruto could connect with all the beasts. This ability likely stems from his status as the reincarnation of Ashura, through which he inherited the Otsutsuki trait from Hagoromo that makes this connection possible. Hagoromo in turn inherited this trait from Kaguya, who received it from her parents as it's an inherent Otsutsuki attribute. The reason certain humans with Otsutsuki blood don't possess this connection is due to the division of Kaguya's bloodline into multiple families. Some families like the Uzumaki clan inherited the trait, making them more compatible as vessels for beasts. Other families inherited distinct abilities such as the Sharingan, but not the connection to the beasts. This inherent trait which all pure Otsutsuki should have is likely why they are compatible, and why for example karmas resonate with each other as we have seen with Boruto and Kawaki, or why Otsutsukis can absorb other Otsutskis, or interact with other Shinjutsus as Kawaki did with Omnipotence, as if all Otsutskis are connected with each other and with that also to the 10-tailed beasts. This revelation provides insight into its origin and Boruto's warning. He alludes to a plot concerning the very existence of the 10-tailed beasts not because of code, but due to code's modification, likely with the teleporters. Boruto likely foresaw the future using Momoshiki's ability which showed the end of the world due to this modification. This isn't directly Code's doing, but he's responsible. A tailed beast in itself isn't harmful, as evidenced and indirectly mentioned by Boruto. Thus, if the problem isn't with the tailed beast or Code, it must lie with the Otsutsuki and their connection to the beasts. They might discover a way to teleport using Code's ability. This connection is even more concerning because Code has Shibuya Otsutsuki's DNA, giving him the unique ability to create and spread black bands as Shinjutsu and thus an Otsutsuki ability. It's proven that certain abilities, even if possessed by others, can be used by all Otsutskis, probably because of the compatibility I mentioned. This suggests that another pair of Otsutsuki or even an entire invasion might be heading to Earth. It might even be that Shibuya himself can use his own ability, which Code now has, to teleport himself from the God dimension back to Earth. That's why the seed must be destroyed before it's too late. Everything I mentioned is further underscored in this chapter, even if not explicitly, because the 10-tailed mainly target those with a high concentration of Otsutsuki blood: Boruto, Sarada, Himawari, and Kawaki. Of course they will react if attacked, but most of the time they naturally go after Otsutskis, as was clearly shown. Given that they need to consume Otsutskis to evolve into god trees, their behavior makes sense. Why Himawari and Sarada? Well, they might have inherited a significant amount of Otsutsuki DNA, spiritually, not physically, but that doesn't matter. This is because their fathers are essentially Indra and Ashura, who are closely related to the Otsutsuki. Based on the creation of all things, everything comprises spiritual and physical energy. That's why Naruto and Sasuke can be Indra and Ashura without genetic connection. That is, spiritually, not physically. Similarly, why Himawari and Sarada aren't physically related to Indra and Ashura. They are spiritually their descendants. This connects them to Kaguya and with that makes them potential food for the 10-tailed beasts, explaining why the beasts target both Himawari and Sarada. Anyway, Kawaki wouldn't be Kawaki if he couldn't handle a mare beast like that, so he activates his karma and easily deals with the 10-tailed beast. Then we also see Boruto easily slicing through multiple beasts at the same time. It's noticeable that Boruto has not only become very skilled with the sword, but also uses this as one of his main weapons. I would even argue that he uses the sword much more than Sasuke did, especially because so much design went into the sword. It's big and pretty much the main focus of the entire design. We don't even see him pulling the sword out for his first victim, which suggests extremely high speed. Or it's an ability the sword naturally has. Then the scene is followed by Boruto being forced to actually show himself, drawing the sword completely out and destroy multiple 10-tailed beasts at the same time. It even seems like Boruto might be infusing some sort of chakra manipulation with his sword. When he defeated the first beast, we actually see some sort of energy or wind gathering or leaving the sword. Of course, it could just represent the swing and the movement, but it looks a lot like what we see at the end of the chapter when Boruto was using his new RASENGAN technique called Uzuhiko. Then we finally see Sarada fighting a bit, showing off typical Uchiha powers. The amount of power she's releasing is ridiculous. She has definitely become very strong, but I have to say, it's nothing mind-blowing, especially not for the current power level. That way, she will never be able to defeat an Otsutsuki. However, I'm sure she's not using everything she can because she's not using her Mangekyo. So don't be too disappointed, you could say she's just warming up. Or is hiding her true abilities, and I think she's kind of distracted. She doesn't seem to be fully aware of what's happening. As if she's distracted by Boruto's presence. It's okay. It's part of her character development and shows that she's a real human. Anyway, Sarada is so strong that people are surprised she's still a genin, which isn't that amazing because she literally shouldn't be a genin anymore. This is not just because of her strength, but also her age. It's only a reminder of her personality and rebellious behavior towards Konoha. Essentially, this could mean that Sarada might ask Boruto to take her with him because she can't stand living among brainwashed people any longer. To be honest, at this point, I believe it would actually be beneficial for Sarada to leave Konoha. However, I can also easily imagine that Boruto and Sasuke will tell her to stay behind to protect Konoha. Essentially, she and Sumire are the only guardians of the truth. So Konoha definitely needs strong people who know the true reality to act in the best interest of everyone involved. We should also not forget that Sarada loves Konoha in the same way that Naruto, her role model, does. So maybe she will choose to stay behind on her own accord anyway. Then one of the tailed beasts attacked Sarada, but before Sarada could be eaten, she was saved by random Kun Simp, who unfortunately lost his life protecting her. Well, it's not confirmed that he died, but it does look like he sacrificed. Upon being bitten, he turned into a tree. That fact alone is very dangerous. This is something completely new. We did however see that a tree can take sacrifices by enveloping people to absorb their lives. So it's quite possible that this is what is happening here. The fact that the tailed beasts turned themselves into a small tree using a person could mean that the God tree process has begun in some way. Maybe it works remotely with a center point. The chapter concludes with Boruto employing his new technique, Rasengan Uzuhiko, either to convince Ko to destroy the 10-tailed beast or to bring Boruto to the dimension so he can do the job. This will actually confirm that Sasuke did not acquire another Rinnegan, otherwise he would have been able to travel there on its own. It also indicates that Boruto cannot teleport to other dimensions, or maybe he can, but there might be some restrictions. The fact that Boruto could appear in Konoha within moments suggests some form of spatial capability. Also, the fact that Boruto needs code to enter this dimension means he's bluffing, he will never kill him. Because if Code is gone, who will ever be able to reach that dimension again? Back to the new Rasengan. It's interesting that this technique doesn't show a Rasengan at all, which shouldn't be much of a surprise. Boruto invented the vanishing Rasengan, so he's capable of creating Rasengans that can be seen. Furthermore, it's noticeable that it looks like a full body Rasengan, almost like the one Ashura used. We see the wind swirling around Boruto and not just around his hand like we usually see with a normal Rasengan. To understand the technique, we need to investigate the meaning of Uzuhiko. Uzuhiko appears to be a compound of Uzu, like referencing the Uzumaki clan, and Hiko, which could be a term for prince. There are more possibilities though. Some suggest that Uzuhiko itself refers to the universe or space. This could mean it's a spatial Rasengan, one that bends the fabric of reality itself, which sounds much more like Shinjutsu. Furthermore, Hiko might also indicate flight, perhaps implying a movable and controllable sphere. Imagine if Boruto could not only throw it, but also control it mid-air while it's invisible. That would be crazy. So Uzuhiko might involve space-time manipulation, making it a Rasengan that can teleport or affect dimensions. Uzu also means whirlpool in Japanese, alluding to the spiral nature often seen in Rasengan techniques. It could also refer to a vortex, which fits the name to Blue Vortex. If that's the name of the series, then the second Blue Vortex must be Sasuke. This hints at the idea that Sasuke finally learned the Rasengan, and if you think about it, why wouldn't he? It's long overdue. Sasuke is a genius shinobi. He could easily learn the Rasengan, especially since he was able to teach it to Boruto to begin with. If Boruto discovered the Rasengan version that is much more powerful than anything Sasuke has ever seen, then obviously he would learn it. This would make him represent the second Blue Vortex and actually take on the secondary prime character role of the entire series, unless Code is the second Blue Vortex, which I doubt, but will fit to the Scar, or someone else is learning the Blue Vortex technique, so to speak, such as Sarada or Himawari. Furthermore, the name might be inspired by folklore and mythology. Several figures in Japanese folklore go by the name Hiko, notably Yamato Takeru, also known as Takeru Hiko or Hiko Ozu. As mentioned, in Japanese, Hiko can mean prince. It's often used as a suffix in names like Boruto Hiko or Uzumaki Hiko, or more simply, Uzuhiko. Takeru had a notable sword that could control the wind. The sword was initially named Amano Murakumo no Tsurugi because of the constant gathering of clouds around it, reminiscent of the wind effect seen when Boruto used the sword. The name was later changed to Kusanagi. We recognize Kusanagi as the name of Sasuke's sword, but that's all it seems to be, a name, just as Amaterasu and Susanoo are actual techniques. The Kusanagi too might be a genuine technique or even a real sword, not just a title. Orochimaru also named his sword Kusanagi and had several techniques starting with Sword of Kusanagi. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the real deal. Orochimaru isn't even a Otsutsuki, not even an Uchiha, so it doesn't even make sense that this is his ability. Given that Susanoo and Amaterasu are derived from Otsutsuki powers and are real abilities closely related to Kusanagi, it's plausible that Kusanagi is also some form of Otsutsuki power or weapon, as all Uchiha abilities stem from Otsutsuki ninjutsu, the original sword might be an Otsutsuki artifact. In this context, even though Sasuke possesses a sword named Kusanagi, it aligns with the sword's mythological evolution in the Boruto narrative. If Boruto wields the true Kusanagi, it would likely connect back to Sasuke, the primary use of Susanoo and Amaterasu. Both once used the sword but passed it on to Takeru, symbolizing Sasuke's role as Boruto's mentor. Drawing from mythology, both Susanoo and Amaterasu acquired the sword from a serpent but couldn't use its true potential due to its wind attribute. In a parallel manner, Sasuke named his sword Kusanagi after training with Orochimaru, the serpent, who also named his blade Kusanagi. Sasuke used lightning with his sword, aligning with Susanoo's legend. Thus, Susanoo and Amaterasu passing the sword to Prince Takeru mirrors Sasuke's symbolic gesture to Boruto. That's roughly the idea behind that. I might have to make a separate video about this topic as well, so don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell activated if you don't want to miss all the amazing theories coming to this channel very soon. And let me know in the comments what you think of this new Boruto chapter and my chapter review, as well as all mentioned theories. And of course, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. It helps me more than you could imagine. Thank you. And thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.